So last speaker is, and again, forgive me, so Deresse Fekadu Ngusi is the Director of Labor Market Analysis at the Ethiopian Agricultural Transformation Agency, or ATA. He leads work on private sector and industry development, labor market dynamics, and policy learning. He's also a research coordinator at Nagoya University with a focus on labor markets. He holds a master's in development studies from Addis Ababa University and an advanced master's in development evaluation and management from the University of Antwerp. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes to the stage. Last presentation of the day. And again, we're going to be pretty strict with time, so 13 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. For the interest of time, I will be very brief, and I will allow me to skip some of the slides, but I will give you a flavor. Basically, what I'm going to present is a policies learning that we have developed through the process of labor market development connecting to the special economic zone in Ethiopia. So originally we thought we have abundant labor and we can easily supply to the industrial park or the special economic zone. But actually we encounter a number of challenges of supplying quality labor forces to the industrial park. That's the kind of challenge and issues that I will be talking about. So we know labor market challenges. In the course of industrialization, there are a number of challenges, one being the information asymmetry. The job seeker doesn't have a quality information when they come to the industrial park, or they have wrong expectations that leads to dissatisfaction. They can quickly quit the industrial parks. So in the process, they lost a learning process, and that disrupts the industries. And the employers also have a problem of getting the right workforce with the right qualities, so that increase their transactional costs. So governments are trying to address, our government trying to address this by establishing a special labor market information system which can bridge the gap between the demand and supply. So in that process, the private sector still continue to have an informal kinds of way of recruiting, like using social networks, rather than waiting the government to supply through a formal system. So when you talk about the formal system, I'm talking about the government which established and then providing a kind of average kinds of information to a local level, and they source workforces from the localities to the industries. And by the social network means any network between the workers themselves or the employers requesting the workers to bring the workforce. That's the kind of thing which I'm talking about. So, but the social network is very much common throughout the world. In the US, we can see like 30 to 60% of the workforce coming through the informal system. In Europe, between 20 to 40. In some developing countries, average about 50%. I mean, there are a lot of studies in the developed countries, but this has been little studied in the developing countries. Okay, that is the gap which motivated us to work on this particular exercise. So, particularly, the existing, studies that are already being conducted in this developed world are still, there are mixed results. There is no clear, results we found. So, but few studies are conducted in the developing countries, but it's not related to actual industry linked. So there are studies such as caste-related, how social network results, but different outcomes in garment industries in India, a little bit of study in how ethnicity affects production in Kenya, Ghana, how it affects a kind of opportunism in the Ghanaian army recruitment process, and other studies in China also. So our research is mainly focused on what are the factors that make someone to choose the social network system. And is there any difference between those who are choosing to use the social network system and those who don't use it? And does the social network improve the actual earning of the workers? And what are the policy implications that we can draw from this exercise? So let me give you a context. 60% of our population are youth out of the 130 million population of Ethiopia. And this has been a very pressing issue. And job creation has been a top agenda for the government. And all the industry policy strategies and poverty reduction policies we used to have are much focused or driven towards creating more jobs. And then since 2010, we've started to develop special economic zones. And that attracted a huge FDI investment in labor-intensive industries. For instance, if you see this from 2010 after, about 50-fold FDI attraction happened in Ethiopia because of the special economic zones we built. And 2/3 of the Chinese manufacturing industries are happening in Ethiopia. Sorry, this is 31. 31 special economic zone and 60 are from public, and the rest are developed by the private owners. Around 500 enterprises are located in the special economic zones. So far, they managed to create 80,000 jobs and approximately 300 million forex being generated annually. And the reason because the low number of job creation and then export generation related to the AGOA suspension since 2022. So of this special economic zone, basically our study focused on Hawassa Industrial Hawassa Special Economic Zone, or Hawassa Industrial Park, which is the largest public flagship enterprise built with a cost of 250 million, and currently 27,000 workforce are working, and out of this, more than 85% of the workforce are women coming from the rural area, and approximately 100 million export generated from that particular industrial zones. It is one of the eco-industrial parks because we have a special zero liquid discharge, so no effluent coming out of that industrial parks, 100% being treated. And that particular industrial park has created a forceful GDP to the city since it happens, but has negatively affected the housing the housing, because there was no sufficient preparation in terms of making house for workforces. So that has created 40% increase in housing inflation in that particular city. And there are also other problems related to that. Because of this, there is a demand-supply mismatch problems, high turnover work because they don't have the right housing, the living cost is going up. So with a little salaries they are getting, they don't stay. So there is a high problem of turnover in that part, dissatisfaction and other issues. Okay? So because of this, government start to address that labor market challenges by establishing the special labor market information system, which is bridging the demand and the supply. We're trying to provide the workforces to the industries. And try to also, that intervention is a market-based inclusive labor information system. It provides registration and then primary training also we provide to the workforce before they join to the industries. So broadly, one worker can choose through a formal system or the informal channel, which means through the social network to come into the industrial park. So our point is that choosing these different channels of job application process result different kinds of outcome in a situation where the labor market is very tight and there is a curtail of wage in the industrial park. Employers, they just discuss among themselves and then they set a wage cartel. So that's what makes it interesting. So in terms of analytical estimation, no, I mean, I don't want to bother you too much on this. Whoever is choosing is because of there is a better utility. So we fit this endogenous switching regression, which captures the utility difference and then estimate on what actual earning that it can produce, okay? But I'll tell you that there are two kinds of self-selection process. One, the job seeker are free to choose whichever channel they wanted, and the employer also can also introduce self-selection because they can tell to the workers to bring the workforce. So that are the two channels of self-selection. This is not a natural experiment, it's pseudo kinds of experiments. So the best model we could have to capture self-selection and then be able to see the impact is to apply either matching or switching regression. So that is what exactly this. So just to give you the data, we have conducted the survey in 1,345 workers with the support of MasterCard. 47% of those workforce are they use the social networks when they join the industries. The rest are using without social networks, okay? On average, most of these workers we surveyed are 2 years. They have been 12 years of education experience. They have, on average, they are 21. No significant difference in terms of between the two groups. We haven't seen any difference in terms of age and other variables. 85% of these workers are production workers. Some of them are supervisors. Some of them are high-skilled workers. So there is a slight difference in terms of skill between the two groups. If you just see those who come without social network, some of them are good in garment skill. The rest are in non-cognitive skills. The one who coming through the social networks, they seem to have better. Okay. So one of the key findings in terms of what makes the decision to use social networks, we found that experience matter, the skill also really matters, and the occupational as well as the efficiency they have, as well as the connection they have or the social networks they have. So a strong social network, individual with dependable families here, seems to have a strong, seems to use social networks. High-skilled workers, which means either those who come from having a very better cognitive and high technical skills, seems to use social networks. Better job position, which means those who are with a better role, either supervisor, they tend to be using social networks. And those who are recently joining compared to those who have been there for a long time, seems to be using social networks. Education doesn't seem to be a factor in terms of making the decision for someone to use either social network or otherwise. Okay, what determines the wages between the two groups? Is there any similarities between those who are using social networks and those are not? So the common factor, both non-cognitive, occupation, and worker efficiency seems to be affecting both the two groups. But the difference is those who have practical skills are more, practical skills seems to be affecting the wages of those without social networks, and cognitive skill and occupational status seems uniquely also affecting those without social network. So that is the message. So in terms of the impacts, does social networks has impact on wage difference. Yes, significantly between, we have used several techniques just to prove the robustness of the result, be it endogenous switching regression or the other matching techniques. We have found a significant average treatment effect on results. So between 4 to 80%, there is a difference in wage between those who are using social network. Seems to have 4 to 8% better wages. So the mechanism, if you want, why social network affects. 1 minute. Okay. So the mechanism is when expectation is, the information, the networks, they have improved the expectation. That is what results in a better access to information, and that result to, that makes them to stay longer, and they stay longer, they capture the skills, and that affects the wage. And the other thing is it's related to switching, because they frequently switch jobs when whenever they have the good information, they switch to a better places, and then they stay to find a better paying companies. Okay, better beyond the policy implication. 3 policy implications which we have found is the formal systems doesn't seem to provide sufficient information for the workers that makes them to stay in the industries. Because through the formal system, we can only be able to provide average information of the park. Average salaries, other kinds of expected work hours, this and the like. But when they come to the social networks, they can find even the behavior of the manager. They can get detailed information of the kinds of canteens, non-wage factors they can get. So that makes it very important. So it is better to bring the ideas from the social networks to the formal system. So the other one is social network doesn't only work well unless it is combined with skills. So working on the skill also very much important. And standardizing the non-wage factors also really what matters most, because these workers are keep switching to get a better non-wage factors, better bonus, better food, canteen, and the like. So if that has been standardized, there is a better way of really maintaining the workforce, and then that's it. Thank you very much.